Welcome back. It's Tim and Julie Harris. This is, of course, your favorite daily real estate coaching and training podcast. And today we're focusing on don't be forgettable, how to nail your first impressions. I'm going to tell you guys something what Julie and I were just talking about that has us both laughing. So Zoe, our daughter, is graduating from the 5th grade to the 6th grade, which, okay.
Leaving
But
elementary, joining middle school. That's why it's a big deal. Yeah.
yeah. So we're going to the graduation thing tomorrow morning, which is great. I don't remember having all these little graduations that,
We never
in
did any of
fifth or
that stuff.
no, we never did any of it. But what's funny to me is how there's no celebration or party for the parents.
Seriously, right?
We're the ones.
It'd be
I
a
mean,
big
sure,
party.
exactly. Why isn't there an open bar someplace that we could all go to just to celebrate the school's over?
I know. I didn't tell you this, but I had a mom with a kid that's a little bit older than Zoe. She was telling me about how her kid's in band, and she couldn't believe that the band concerts were an hour and a half and that there was an intermission and all this. She's like, it's never ending. And she goes, why aren't there hors d'oeuvres and cocktails? That would
Yeah.
make it a lot easier to get through. So yes.
So a lot of you are living through the same thing, and so we understand. So we're just sharing that with you. I thought that might make some of you guys laugh that, life has normal. All right, so let's roll in, Julie. Don't be forgettable, how to nail your first impressions. Oh, yes, and if you want all these notes, because we do our best to get through these notes as quick as we can, as efficiently and thoroughly as we can on the podcast, but we are, we schedule ourselves for roughly a half hour. Sometimes it goes longer every day for this show. And the notes are going to be available to you every day, even if we don't get through all of them at harrisrealestatedaily.com. That's only if you subscribe to the newsletter. And yes, I know that link wasn't working last week. And so for those of you who told me on Instagram, thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate you guys having our backs, but it works now. I tested it right before today's show. So just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and you can subscribe to the newsletter. And that includes a lot of, obviously our notes from that day's show, the video from that day's show, a lot of other stuff that we've written just for you in the newsletter. And you only get that if you subscribe. It is free. So please do not delay. Just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Julie Harris, let's roll in.
Yes. Okay. Had a little light malfunction there. Okay. So don't be forgettable, how to nail your first impressions. We've all heard the famous and true saying, you never get a chance to nail your first impression. And many studies have shown that most people actually do form their impressions of you between 2 seconds and 2 minutes. So this is really important stuff. Think of the last person that you met. What was your first impression of them and why? What do you remember about that encounter? What can you tell me about that last person that you just met, right? So was it negative? Was it positive? Or was it neutral? Or do you maybe not even remember them and they were forgettable? A lot of studies have also shown in terms of real estate that buyers will use the first agent they meet. 75 to 85% of buyers use the first agent they meet. And I would add to that, assuming that they made a good enough impression that they're memorable, right? What would you add to that, Tim? I've got to fix my light here.
I see what you're doing. So yes, meet is the operative word. So meet means as in meet in person. Meet
Yes.
as that's the reason the open houses are killing it right now. And that's
They
the
are
reason
indeed.
and that's the reason a lot of the digital stuff isn't working as well, because so few agents are doing the open house. So many agents have been raised in the last 15 years to do passive stuff, to meet people. And the reality of it is that never has worked. It never has worked. So if you look at every survey of people that have just closed on a real estate transaction, buyers, I think this is buyer side, Julie, help me if I'm getting this wrong. And this was done, the most recent one was last year, I think, from National Association of Realtors, asking the consumers why they chose the realtor that they chose. And the answer was, it's the first realtor we met. Now, met would be the first realtor they met in person, but also I'm sure it's the first realtor that they met in person that they wanted to work with. So if they met you the first time and they thought you were a crudball, chances are they weren't going to work with you. So just being there first is only really half the game. So just keep that in mind.
And that's why we're talking about those first impressions, because it's not just, you can't just randomly meet them. You have to have a good impression. So your job now is to look at your first impressions, both online and offline, and make a list of those. What is the points of contact? You can ask ChatGPT to go find you online. Where are all the different places that you show up? Because that'll also uncover things maybe from your previous life, a previous job, where are you showing up? So online, your list, of course, is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, your website, your online real estate profiles on Zillow, Realtor.com, your broker's website, your digital newsletter, marketing campaigns, and any other apps or websites that you use. So the online list is pretty long. We're going to talk about some of that. And make sure that you look Go ahead.
But you just said something really important, and you went over this point really quick. Most consumers, consumer traffic, see if Julie's going to remember all these numbers. She's a bit of a Rain Man if you guys have not put those thoughts together yet. If you haven't
On
figured
some
it out.
things, not everything.
Yeah. All right. So there was the folks using Google to do their search has dropped in just ridiculously fast since in the
40%.
last. Okay, there you go. So what was it again?
40%, I think it took 18 months, 40% over 18 months.
Right. So the moral of the story is where are people, they have stopped doing searching. They're now searching using AI, and they're searching primarily using Grok, Gemini, obviously Chat GPT. That's what they're doing. You can get those apps on your phone. And I don't know, again, I'm not going to make this about AI, but you guys can do so much with these apps. For example, you know, the AI apps, you can take pictures and ask the chat. When Julie and I were over in Europe last year, and I don't speak any of those, you know, certainly nothing fluently. Fluently? Yes. Can't even say fluently correctly.
In English.
Anyway, English. Anyway, I'd take pictures of things, and obviously it'd fully
Oh
translate
yeah,
it.
that was really cool.
It was. Well, Julie was last night. We were outside, and she was recording with AI bird sounds that we were hearing, and then it would tell her what bird it was. So, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things. But the moral of the story is do the search, do a search for yourself, and see what. And they do it. There's options. Do a deep search. I think deep search is the open AI version of it. But click for it to do the next level of research. And then it's actually going to think harder and go deeper into the internet and look for anything that might be associated with you. And it'll go back to Internet 1.0, which is back basically in 97, 96. I did this with Julie and I found our original real estate website. Back when we sold real estate, we were one of the first agents in our market to have their own proprietary named website. timandjulieharris.com was our real estate website. It shouldn't surprise any of you. So do that and find out how it looks and decide whether or not you can, if you can, clean up any of those links if there's anything you're not particularly proud of. Why? Because the nature of how AI produces search results is different than how traditional Google search and whatnot did search results. It's going to be far more comprehensive. And I just want you to wrap your mind around that. You have spent maybe tons of money on SEO, tons of money on all these things, search engine optimization, pay-per-click ads, putting your information at the top of every Google search that even remotely resembles one of your keywords. All of that stuff is quickly becoming obsolete, not completely obsolete, but its effectiveness is dropping like a rock because of AI. So be very considerate of what first impression you're leaving when people are using AI, all the ones I just rattled off and more, to do the search, researching you.
Yes, that's right. And in fact, on a coaching call today, I used that to search. We were talking about buyer pre-qualification and some open house leads for this particular agent, excuse me. And she had come across somebody that didn't leave that much information, was kind of weird about signing in, and said that they were a YouTube influencer. Okay. And she hadn't really come across much of that before. And she's like, I don't know, is this person the real deal? And they said they had any price range, and it was very nebulous. And so we used Chat GPT, and it came up with all kinds of interesting things. So this stuff is very searchable. And I think with AI, it's probably become more searchable and digging deeper in a lot more areas.
So when you said, did you mean interesting or did you mean interesting?
We didn't go that deep on the coaching call. The point was that you can find out a lot of things, and that first impressions really do matter. So remember, our first job is to yourself make a list of where you think you're appearing online. Then you're going to ask your AI to supplement that. Where else are you appearing online? All iterations of your name, married name, maiden name, maybe you have a different name for your license, whatever it is, ask it all versions, right? And of course, it's going to come up with your Facebook, your Instagram, all of your things. Now, so you have that list. You are to ask yourself, number one, what are you trying to accomplish with all of these different profiles? Are you trying to attract buyers and sellers? Are you trying to make realtor connections? Do you work a lot with relocation? Are you a first-time buyer specialist? What does it look like you do? That's point number two. What do each of these profiles look like you're looking for? Are you a fisherman or are you a realtor?
Let me give you guys a suggestion and translate a little bit of Julie there for you. What she's trying to explain to you is make it so all your professional real estate profiles are very niche, very targeted, not nebulous, and consistent. And every single one of these profiles has to be consistent. Your same phone numbers, your same web addresses, your same picture. Because if someone's popping around, you need to have them start to realize that they're dealing with somebody who's professional, who's taking the time to set up all those profiles and be, again, consistent. Also, when you're trying to or when you're trying to let all the different profile, the Instagrams and the, LinkedIn's and all the rest of it, know who you are, because it's going to ask you again for keywords and phrases. Be very specific and tight. Don't just say, I sell real estate in California. You need to say, these particular markets, this particular price range. Be as drilled down as you possibly can, because the riches are always in the niches. Julie, let's move on to point number 2. Oh, no,
All right.
3. Yeah.
3. Do you monitor your different assets online and off, especially online, or did you just set it and forget it? So here's one way people will know. Are you using the same headshot from 2003? Do you look like your headshot? Okay, that's one way. And number 4 is related to that. Do you have unfinished profiles where it's just a shadow picture and like token text, right? So do you have unfinished profiles? Again, ChatGPT is going to probably uncover a lot of that, but make a list and then go through and make it all consistent with the messaging. Number 5, again, we're talking about first impressions. And this is something I hear about on nearly every coaching call, agents complaining about agents. How does somebody reach you? How hard are you to reach? How many different voicemail trees and QR codes and double opt-ins and chasing you down does it take? And this is not this, I guess the biggest complaint that I hear from agents is buyer's agents complaining about listing agents when they've got a specific question or they've got an offer or they want to know what's important to the seller. And the listing agent just seems really hard to find.
So let's vamp on that a bit, okay? So you're saying a bunch of different things. I want to make it so these guys are really clear.
How hard are you to find is the question.
Yeah. How hard are you to find? But not only that, how hard are you to communicate with? In a day of where we have way too many places, like I just logged into WhatsApp for the first time in probably 60 days. I don't use WhatsApp. You want to get hold of me, you text me. That's it. And if you call me, which, when I'm talking about EXP and I say if folks are interested in joining EXP, they can, obviously text me directly and I'll help them go to the next level at 512-758-0206. People call me, and on my voicemail, I specifically say that if you want to reach me, you've got to text me. And why? Because I'm on Zooms or just doing other things and podcasts.
You're doing this.
I'm doing this, exactly. So I don't have time to take calls from people I don't have already have established relationships with. So my voicemail specifically is trying to design their behavior in a specific way. I would suggest that you also do the same on all those messaging apps. So if someone's trying, and I need to do that on WhatsApp for myself, obviously, but we don't use WhatsApp professionally. We only use it personally. Well, I barely use it, so there you go. But the smart move would be if you want everyone to communicate with you through one channel, maybe it's text, maybe it's WhatsApp, maybe it's Instagram, whatever it is, then you need to tell them that's how you want to be chosen or how you want to be communicated with, and then put a link where where you can put a link so they can just click it and message you there. The other catch-all for all this is there are systems, there are apps, again, that will make it so you can, the app will automatically pull in all your messages from all the different sources, Facebook, maybe Facebook personal page, Facebook workplace, or Facebook, all these things, right? Instagram, maybe you're getting messages on TikTok. So there are apps that will go and essentially check all these different inboxes that you have everywhere, and we'll put them all in one place, and so you can essentially organize yourself that way. Point being is don't be hard to find. If anything, be overly available, because most other agents, hell, most businesses now are always trying to funnel you somewhere, funnel you into an email campaign, which consumers hate. What you're doing is you're running off the most motivated people when you try to funnel them into message me here, or fill out this form.
They'll just call the next agent.
They will, and that's what they do. Or frankly, they just, the agent who is one of our coaching clients, who they just messages now furiously, fastly following up with them and now calling them right now. And that's the other thing I'll caution all you guys about is make sure you're spending your best efforts calling people and doing direct communication. We talk about this all the time. Why are we telling you this? Because now more than ever, where everybody is trying to, and by everybody, I mean real estate agents, are trying to funnel people into digital communication. Consumers are frustrated. Aren't you? I mean, think about it. If you had to hire somebody today, perform a service for you, whatever it is, do you want to have to go through a million different forms before you get somebody to maybe call you back? That sucks. No. Don't treat people that way. Make it so they can call you directly. This is even more important the higher in you go in the price in real estate. It's just true. The more expensive, higher end consumers, if you try to delegate them to another human or anything digital, you will not earn any money from them. I promise you. just keep that in mind when I'm saying to you right now, because it is very true. And if you've not personally had those higher end experiences in your life before, I just saved you. I gave you the crib notes to working with upper end customers. Make it so they can communicate with you urgently and with basically no barriers to entry.
Yeah, that's right. And to your point where you say, don't leave a message, don't call me, text me. If that's what your voicemail says, agents who are listening, make sure that you follow through and you do what your voicemail said. It shouldn't be like trying to find a wild animal in a safari to find you. I shouldn't have to guess, oh, let's see, are they LinkedIn or are they WhatsApp, or should I go to Facebook and try and message them that way? Maybe I have to do all 4 of these things. That's not fair. They're just going to move on. So again, first impressions, right? The next thing is point number 6. Are you weird about being a sales professional? When you are out in the wild talking to people, do you sound like you're a professional agent, or do you only talk about real estate if they ask you? Are you weird about that? Also, when you're posting online and you're talking about things, maybe it's agent to agent, wherever I can find you, do you sound like the professional that you want to be? Are you using up-to-date market information? Are you informed? Are you having real estate conversations? What is the first impression? And Tim mentioned about first, like literally, like how do you look? We have a separate podcast I'm going to do about that. Upgrading everything is where they'll find that podcast. But certainly when you go out the door, just to make this point number 6.5, shall we? When you go out the door, if you're running to the grocery store and you're in the market that you sell in, and you've got 5 listings there, and you've got 1,000 past clients there, do you look like a professional agent, or are you wearing your jammies and flip-flops? It does make a difference, because I can guarantee you're going to run into past clients. So that's a great way to do first impressions. We talked a little bit about this. I can't remember which podcast it was, but we were talking about handshakes, our first impression. Practice having a good handshake. You're not supposed to be a dead fish, and you're not supposed to be a bone crusher. So we could probably do 20 or 30 first impressions. What you look like on your real estate sign, if you've got a picture on your sign, is that who you really look like when they meet you at the door? Or is that like 1978 picture? We've all run into agents like that.
Do you notice the whole fist bump thing is gone? Like nobody wants to fist bump anymore.
Yeah, that dried up, didn't it?
No, but have you noticed that? Like when we're out during COVID, everyone would do the fist bump, but now nobody wants to fist bump. It's weird. I had today, I had 2 people that I hadn't seen in a while who, I figured that's what their move would be. And nope, neither one of them. And they just didn't hold, they just held their hand out and waited for me not to make the stupid fist bump.
I think that's nice. I think maybe that's a hangover COVID.
For sure.
Like PTSD type of thing.
Exactly.
Like none of us want to go back there, right? We just want to be all over that.
But as far as the first impressions go, it's really, you guys know it's important, but you don't realize how important it is in context. So for example, you are building your business, or you've already built your business. You need to make it so every time somebody sees you, you look like you're going to a closing or coming back from a closing. That should be your rule, right?
That's a great filter. You should just always look that way. Even if it's like Sunday afternoon and you're just going to go pick up some milk at the grocery.
And if you're going to the gym, if you're going to the gym, still look nice. I'm not saying like you just went to a closing or coming back from a closing, but you get the idea.
No, but wear nice gym clothes. Don't wear stuff with holes in them or that you've sweat in for 40 times,
Exactly. And with the funny thing that happens is when you look nicer, you actually behave differently. And in every study that's ever been done on this, it's very fascinating in that you have, like, if people are dressed nicely, they stand up straight. If people are dressed nicely, they will communicate, look you in the eye, but clearer, all these things. And if you're not, if you're a little bit, slovenly or just overly casual, you act slovenly and overly casual. Why does that matter? Because without you knowing it, somebody runs into you walking the dog and you're a little slovenly, and who cares, you're walking your dog and so are they, and they're dressed like crap too. So what difference does it make? Well, then a month from now, they get a notice that they have to put their house for sale, and their last impression, which was the impression that they'll remember the most about you, was not something that you'd be necessarily proud of or want to have, as far as your permanent record, but there it is. They're probably not going to call you. Or at least you're going to have to move away from that impression that they had of you. So when you're in real estate, the way to think of it is like when you go on a listing appointment or now a buyer appointment, you always would say to yourself, when we teach you guys this in Premier Coaching, it's showtime. That's what you basically have to say to yourself, because you're on stage in essence. You're presenting, and the same goes the second you walk out your door. And the same goes when you don't even walk out your door, but you're creating digital presence for yourself anyplace. People, as a rule nowadays, and it hasn't always been like this, are looking for a reason to write you off. People are looking for a reason not to do business with you. They're looking for a reason to distrust you. They're looking for a reason to be skeptical about you. They're looking for, you guys get the point here? They're not looking for necessarily a reason to like you. And I know that's bad, and I know that's not good for anything or anybody, but the reality of it is that's how most people operate. The recent political climate of really the last 4 years, maybe really the last 10 years, has taught all of us to be a little bit too divisive in the way we go about approaching people. And it's not, fortunately, I gave you guys an example, fist bump versus handshake. I think it really is, tilting back towards a sense of people wanting to have a sense of community and people not wanting to be so fractionalized in their own little pods and groups anymore. But we'll see if that's true. But in the meantime, remember, you will be, essentially written off based on how you present. And when you present, it's not just at a listing appointment. It's not just at a buyer appointment. It's all the time. Which, yeah, that means a lot of you are going to have to do a massive upgrade. And Julie's going to do a podcast upcoming on upgrading everything, which is frankly a good podcast because the takeaway is you have to go shopping. So hopefully there won't be too many.
For you.
For you, exactly. Well, Julie,
Yeah.
did we wrap up all the points?
Well, I think it's good to audit what you're looking at here because there could be things that you've forgotten about from a few years ago. And you look at it and you go, oh my gosh, that's not the impression that I really want to have now. I'm thinking about agents that have gone up market, for example, stuff like that. So yes, that is your homework from today's show, both online and off. Monitor your first impressions and upgrade as necessary. Have fun with it. It's something that everybody should do probably twice a year.
Well, I'll leave you with this. So there's an your mom or your grandma should have taught you this. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. So I want you guys all to sort of think about whether or not you've been approaching life that way in general, because another first impression that you can be leaving about yourself in a negative way is somewhat of a complainer. And again, I know that's in the political zeitgeist right now, but avoid having anything negative to say about anybody, even when they deserve it, right? Say nothing about nobody. So if you have anything, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. So when you're doing this AI deep search on yourself and you discover that you are complaining about something, 15, 20 years ago, and it's still lingering and it's still following you. And maybe using Google, it wasn't really searchable because it was on page like 100. AI is now going to find it right away and it's going to be on your first page for your results. So if you can go back and clean any of that up, which you usually can, I strongly encourage you to do so. And going forward, even if you're doing it under a pseudonym, do not in any way ever say anything negative about anything, especially online or in real life. I promise you guys, that's going to linger and follow you in more insidious ways than you possibly can imagine. It's hurting you. So
and that would be a deal killer. And you might not even know about it. That person just won't call you back. They're going to find something and it rubbed them the wrong way. And now you're crossed off the list and you would never even know the difference necessarily.
Yeah, don't be political. Avoid it if you can. And certainly if you don't have anything nice to say, just remember, don't say anything at all. Just be positive. People are naturally more attracted to positive people. And that goes to your brand. If you're somebody that always has something positive to say and is never, belabor or unloading their latest gossip or their latest mindset issue on somebody else, people will be more attracted to you. So look, what would we ask you to do today on this podcast? Obviously, think about the first impressions you're leaving by how you look, how you present, what you say, how you shake people's hands. These are all basic things that all of us should have learned as kids. And most of us did, but somewhere along the line, we sort of forgot about it. Go back and reel it back in. And I'm going to give you guys a little takeaway that's kind of funny. When you start following some of the prescribed suggestions that we just gave you, and you start dressing nicer, and you start, taking care of yourself more, thinking about what you say before you say it, just being a little bit more conscientious and considerate, you will immediately feel better, more confident about yourself because you're going to see more people wanting to be to talk to you. They're going to be attracted to you. They're going to just say, well, obviously there's something different about Julie. I mean, every time I see her, she's always so nice and she always looks nice and da-da-da-da. And all of these little tiny things, that's ultimately what creates your brand. Because when somebody decides that they need to buy or sell real estate, they're going to think of Julie and they're going to think of Julie in positive ways. Hopefully you guys are all understanding this. Again, this should be the basic, one of the first things that's taught in sales training, but it's not.
But fortunately, something you can all control. There's something, there's so much in real estate that feels out of control all the time. Don't make this one of those things. I think it's fun to be able to control that. There's a lot of quotes about, if you can make a first impression and that's in your control, then be in control of that. Embrace that. That's a great thing, that it's not like, oh, well, that's how it's just going to be. Control it.
You can scale this too. What are your, again, we could do a podcast on this, Julie, moments of truth that Howard Brinton used to say. A moment of truth would be your first impression that we just gave you guys ideas on. A moment of truth could be obviously the digital ways that people contact you. That's a moment of truth. We covered that as well. But your pre-listing pack, your pre-buyer pack, whether you're an ethical real estate professional, just go to ethicalrealestateprofessional.com and learn about that designation. All these act as moments of truth. So when most of you are going to get most of your business for your entire careers from your centers of influence, past clients, or from referrals. In both cases, people are going to go online. They're going to do a little bit of research on you. When they're doing the research and they find that you're consistent everywhere and they find that, essentially no reasons not to do business with you, that's going to move them past their innate nature to be skeptics about you or about anybody in sales, really. So if you guys want to attend our mastermind that we're doing this week, just go to harrismastermind.com. We're going to continue doing these as long as you guys continue to show up, and hundreds, well over 1,000, probably more like 18, almost probably 1,900 have attended so far. And that's really great because we've only been doing it for a couple of weeks. But go to harrismastermind.com and register. And what Julie and I are doing is we're really drilling down on helping you all overcome the 3 biggest challenges you're having in real estate right now. Last mastermind we did lasted about 2 hours because we answered all the questions. So make sure you attend. Go to harrismastermind.com. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.